Michael Jordan is putting a lot of pressure on Bubba Wallace to continue the performance he had this past weekend at Pocono. Dale Jr. says that most likely they will not be going Cup racing in 2022, and the Pocono and SXR Ratings have come out from this past weekend. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We have quite a few NASCAR stories discussed here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into those very quickly. We're going to start off with the paint schemes and sponsorship news. Let's go and just jump straight into it very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Aric Almirola's 2020 Pit Boss Midfield Patriotic scheme that we're going to see at Road America. I really like this paint scheme a lot. They did a really good job on it. You get the patriotic feels off the car. I think they did a really good job on this paint scheme. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Road America. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ty Dillon's 2020 Realtor Lock scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Road America. Ty Dillon is making his return this weekend at Road America for Boris Racing, and I have to say they did a really excellent job on this paint scheme overall, and I get a lot of feelings of when Ty Dillon was driving for Germain Racing. I get a lot of feels from that. I think that it's very similar to that, and I think they did a very good job on this paint scheme, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend here at Road America. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Kyle Busch's 2021 M&M's Ice Cream scheme that we're going to see this weekend in the Xfinity Series race at Road America. I really like this paint scheme a lot. This paint scheme was really cool, and I think that they did a fantastic job on the scheme, in my opinion. I've been a big fan of the M&M schemes. This one's no exception. I love the cover scheme of it all, and I think they did a good job, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one on the racetrack this weekend in the Xfinity Series race at Road America. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Erik Jones' 2020 Scat Power scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Road America. I like it a lot. Again, I like the orange on the car. Of course, you get the orange. I think you get a white number on this car, which is really interesting considering that RPM usually runs an orange number, but I think it really is a good color contrast overall. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this one on the racetrack this weekend in the Cup Series race at Road America. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Bubba Wallace's 2021 Dr. Pepper scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Road America. There was a fan vote that they did this past weekend for Bubba Wallace, and the one that won is very similar to Corley Joy's scheme that he had for Old Spice a year or two ago. They have got Bubba Wallace's face on the car. I really like this a lot. I also like the adjustment of them putting Bubba Wallace's face on the front, and I really like this paint scheme. It's one of my favorite paint schemes I've seen so far from 2311, and I'm looking forward to seeing this paint scheme out on the racetrack this weekend, and maybe this will help Bubba Wallace continue his momentum that he's been building over the last couple weeks. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Austin Dillon's 2020 Dow Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Road America. Again, very solid scheme. Rich Schultz Racing tends to have a lot of really good paint schemes, especially for the patriotism that they put on their cars. This one's no exception. I really like it a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one on the racetrack this weekend here at Road America. And now we're going to jump onto all of their major stories we discussed here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into those very quickly. The first of these stories we're going to talk about is Road America. As according to the Door Bumper Clear podcast, the race is expected to have 100,000 fans that will be at Road America. Now, Road America, I believe, is going to have full capacity for the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and they are expected to have 100,000 fans. This is really good to see overall that Road America is going to have 100,000 fans this weekend. Especially since, we've been seeing a lot more larger crowds being allowed to go back to these races. Nashville had about 50,000 fans that were at their race. I don't know exactly how many fans were at Pocono, but I believe they had 50 to 60,000 fans. And the fact that we're going to see one of the potentially the largest NASCAR crowd, because Indianapolis 500 had a lot more fans than this. I think 135, 137,000 that were at the Indianapolis 500. But the fact that we're going to have over 100,000 fans that are going to be at the Road America race is really good. And I believe that this is the largest crowd for a race in a long time before the COVID-19 pandemic happened. So this is definitely really good news overall for sure that we're going to see a lot of fans back at Road America, and great to see that more fans are going to be back here this weekend. Now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode. We're going to talk about the JGR's Xfinity Series crew chief lineup. Now, we talked about this back in February, that JGR for this weekend was going to be having 5 cars for this weekend, with Ty Gibbs driving the number 81 this weekend, and Kyle Busch driving the number 54. Now, like I said, we're going to be seeing a crew chief changes in regards to this. So, Chris Gale is actually going to be moving over from the 54 this weekend to the 81 to crew chief for Ty Gibbs this weekend. And Mark McFarland, who's Ty Gibbs' crew chief in the ARCA series, is actually going to be crew chief for Kyle Busch this weekend in the number 54. Now, I think Mark McFarland has done an incredible job so far this year with Ty Gibbs winning multiple races throughout the year so far. I know that this past weekend at Pocono was not the best race they put on. They put a good performance, but they had issues in the race. But overall this year, Ty Gibbs has done an incredible job with Mark McFarland, and Mark McFarland has been there to really overall oversee and help the operation over there. And these guys have been a former driver as well, so he knows how to do well. And I think he'll do very, very well with Kyle Busch this weekend, and Kyle Busch will be really, really fast. I don't expect anything to really change with Chris Gale and Ty Gibbs because they work together very, very well. But yeah, it's great to see Mark McFarland is getting an opportunity to crew chief in the Xfinity Series. I believe this is the first time in a long time that he has crew chief in the Xfinity Series. So that's great news overall for sure. And I'm expecting a lot of great things this weekend. And hopefully we will see some good stuff come out of that here this weekend at Road America. Maybe we'll see Kyle Busch win. We'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode. As we are talking about Raphael, as Raphael will be substituting for Donald Feige at Sunset Speedway in the NASCAR Penny Series, which is actually going to be the season opener for the NASCAR's Penny Series. A lot of you know the backstory about Raphael. Raphael was let go a couple weeks ago due to sponsorship problems, I believe, before the Darlington weekend, the throwback weekend. Basically, he was let go out of his ride, and he's not at the track, and he has not been racing since. He hasn't basically been focusing on the 2022 season, but now he'll be getting his first start in NASCAR here in quite some time. I'm really happy that Raphael is getting an opportunity. I think Raphael will be very, very competitive in Donald Feige. I think is actually a very solid driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So I think overall, this is great news to hear. And hopefully, I would like to see Raphael go out there. And if he does really, really well this weekend, you never know. He might get an opportunity to race for another top-tier team in the Truck Series in the foreseeable future. If he's able to continue to pick up sponsorship, if he does really well, maybe he'll run more races in the Penny Series. Maybe he'll finish the whole entire year and go and race for other drivers. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm really happy to see that Raphael is getting another opportunity once again to race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I think overall this is exciting news for sure, and welcome back, Raphael to NASCAR. We've missed you, man, and good to see you there. You're back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And now we're going to go jump on to the next story of today's episode. As we are talking about Boris, as Boris is going to be driving the number 61 for MBM Motorsports this weekend here at Road America. Boris made his first NASCAR Xfinity Series start since 2015, earlier this year at Circuit of the Americas. Was able to qualify pretty well in the number 13 for MBM Motorsports, but unfortunately had mechanical issues. He was able to get back on the racetrack, but mechanical issues took him out of contention in this race. So I'm really happy to see that Boris is getting another opportunity. I would expect that Boris will definitely be able to qualify in the event that 61 car has been competing for top 15s. Yes, it's been when Austin Hill has had Hattori backing on that car. But I would anticipate that Austin Hill is going to show up. Not Austin Hill. Boris I think, will show you a lot of speed this weekend. I would not be surprised if Boris, considering some of these guys have never raced here, I would not be surprised if this MBM Motorsports car at least gets the top 20 this weekend. He had decent speed overall in the practice qualifying sessions at the event, and I would not be surprised if Boris is not only able to qualify for the event, but is able to perform extremely well. I'm really happy that Boris is back in the Xfinity Series once again. I would expect that they're probably going to put Boris in probably a lot of the road course races throughout the year. It's been great to see him back because I miss Boris and the fact that he's back in the Xfinity Series is really cool to see, and hopefully he will do very well this weekend here at Road America. I do expect potentially a top 20. If they get a top 30, 25, that'd be really, really good. But if they get a top 20, I think that exceeds my expectations, and I think they definitely have a shot this weekend who potentially get a top 20 here this weekend at Road America. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're going to go ahead and talk about iRacing, as iRacing now is the official simulator of NASCAR, and it was also reported that they will be helping NASCAR design racetracks in the future if NASCAR is to go to racetracks. iRacing has been a really, really cool, really, really awesome tool in my honest opinion. We've had the Pro Invitational running NASCAR. You've also had the International Euro Series that is going on currently at the moment. They had a couple races a week or two ago, I believe, at Brands Hatch, and the series has been very, very successful. And they've also been helping design racetracks where they designed the Chicago Street Course, which could potentially be where NASCAR is headed next year in 2022. iRacing is a top-tier simulator. I know that they've had issues over there, and some of their drivers have not overall been the biggest fan of iRacing, but I think that this is overall an incredible partnership that I think is going to last for a very, very long time. I mean, iRacing has been around for a long time. Dale Jr., C. Myers, and those guys, I think, have overall helped that company excel very, very well. I do think that things have to get fixed over at iRacing. I think their tire model is not very good. I also think the cars are not that great, to be honest. I know a lot of drivers, people in iRacing leagues have not been overall the most optimistic and happy about what's overall been going on over there. But I do think that with NASCAR getting involved in this and trying to maybe fix the issues and situation that's been going on over there, they'll probably have someone going in there fixing a racing product in there. I think that this is going to be really good. In regards to designing racetracks, like I mentioned, I think that this is great to see. The fact that they're going to be helping design racetracks is really, really cool. Now, it's not going to be 100% accurate to the kind of the racing product that we'll see in the regular stock cars, but I think that overall this is exciting for sure that iRacing is getting involved with NASCAR. Now they're becoming the official simulator is an incredible thing, and great to see that iRacing has become the official simulator NASCAR. I'm really excited about the future of this, and hopefully it will bring a lot of good things in the past, and maybe this will fix iRacing's problems in NASCAR, helping getting involved in that to fix some of the issues, at least on the NASCAR product. Maybe IndyCar will get involved and get their side of product fixed. I think IndyCar's got a good product over there. But I do think NASCAR needs to get involved in there and kind of fix the racing product that's going. It's not 100% accurate to what you see on the racetrack. When you drivers are giving you feedback and 100% complaining, you got to fix your product. But I think that this will be a really good promotion for both of those companies, and it's really good overall, my honest opinion, to see down that front. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next stories of today's episode, as we're going to be talking about the SRX ratings and the ratings from this past weekend at Pocono. Let's start off with the SRX ratings, as according to Adam Stern, he reported yesterday that CBS earned a 1.38 million viewers for its third SRX event this past weekend at Eldora per preliminary numbers from TV Ratings Guide. It's best yet by those figures. I believe race 1 got 1.2 million viewers, and last week's race got 1.1 or 1.23 million viewers. So the fact that this is the most watched event and not being the first, and the fact that the ratings have not gone down, but they've gone up going into their third event, I think is really, really awesome to see on that front. I think a lot of it is that there's been a little more promotion in regards. I've been complaining a little bit about there really wasn't a lot of promotion coming into it, but the fact that they are maintaining their audience and now they're leading, I think a lot of it, one, the racing product is really, really good. It's very, very enjoyable, and I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. The Eldora race, I think, so far was the most put together product, and also the commentary was really, really good last weekend. Not saying Danica Patrick did a bad job, but I think James Hinchcliffe overall is a much better commentator. We're also going to see Dario Franchitti later this year, and he does have some TV experience, so we'll see him in the last two races of the year. But I think James Hinchcliffe and Alan Bestwick did an incredible job, and not to mention, the racing was really, really good. You had some great battles between guys like Tony Stewart, Cody Swanson. You had some awesome battles throughout the night as well. I mean, race 2 was definitely a slugfest for the heats, but I thought the SRX race was overall really, really good, and I think that the fact that the ratings are so little, almost 1.4 million, is definitely really good to see for sure. I really like those ratings for sure. Now we're going to go and talk about the Pocono ratings this weekend, and let's be honest with ourselves, the ratings from this past weekend at Pocono are not really, really good. Let's start off with the ratings reported by Adam Stern. According to him, race 1 earned a 0.9 rating and 1.448 million viewers, which was on NBCSN. The first race last year, which aired on main Fox, had 1.63 rating and 2.57 million in viewers. Now, race 2 definitely is a lot better. He said that the race 2 earned a 1.49 rating and 2.446 million viewers, which is on NBCSN. Race 2 from last year was on 1.62 rating and had 2.66 million viewers, which is also on the cable network on FS1. Let's talk about this for a second. Race 1, really, really, really bad. It's down 40% and 44% in the ratings and the viewership department, which is absolutely really, really bad. And there's quite a few reasons why I think race 1 did not get a lot of viewership. Number one, a lot of people did not know that there was a Pocono race weekend, and a lot of people did not know that race 1 was taking place on Saturday. A lot of people thought that there was only one race this weekend, so a lot of people did not know that there were two races this weekend. NBC did not do a great job when it comes to promotion, and they got to do a better job with that. Number 2, last year's race aired on main Fox. This year's race aired on NBC, as said. I'm not making excuses because you did have the Olympic time trials happen, but this race, the Saturday race, should have been on main NBC like the first race, because I'll tell you, the ratings would have been pretty close to what we had last year if the race is on main NBC, because last year that's what Fox, which I think did a better job about that, was putting the main first Pocono race. When you have a race like this on Saturday in the middle afternoon when a lot of people are working and stuff and they can't get off for the event, you've got to have the race to draw other people in. You've got to have these big races like this on the main Fox network. Same race 2 can stay on NBCSN, but the main race on the first race on Saturday, that race has to be on the main Fox, the main network, in my honest opinion. The fact that it was not on the main network, I think, is a big reason contribution to why race 1 was really, really bad. And I think that is the only way you're going to keep the Pocono doubleheader around, is you put the first race on the main network next year. You can't because next year you're not going to have the excuse of having the Olympic time trials. You're going to have to next year put the first race on the main network. I think a lot of NASCAR Cup Series races should be on the main networks and not on the cable networks. Sometimes I understand why they have them, sometimes on the cable networks, but they should be having a lot of these Cup Series races on the main networks, and the first race is no exception. Race 2 is a little bit down in my opinion, but it's not too bad. Again, it was on Sunday afternoon, and a lot more people were off on Sunday afternoon than they are on Saturday, so a lot more people were able to tune into the event, and they did run a little bit better, in my honest opinion. That, again, also the racing was really, really good this past weekend. A lot of people don't expect Pocono to put on a lot of good racing this past weekend. We saw a lot of good racing overall, but, man, the fact that the ratings are bad, it really is bad. The fact that almost race 1 almost got beat. In fact, almost this past weekend only got beat by 100,000 viewers of what the SRX got is really, really, really bad. The fact that a series had just started 3 or 4 weeks ago basically is almost beating a Cup Series race. And by the way, this is the least watched Cup Series race since before 2000, since I believe 2000 or before 2000. So that is terrible. And next year, if they're going to keep doing it, like I said, you've got to put the Saturday race on the main NBC network. That's just my honest opinion of that. But yeah, ratings are not very good for this past weekend here at Pocono. They were really, really bad. Comparing the SRX ratings, SRX did a pretty good job. The Cup race at Pocono did really, really bad for race number 1, and they got to put it on the main NBC next year, in my honest opinion. And now we're going to go and jump on to the first of 2 major stories in today's episode as we are talking about 2311 and Michael Jordan. It was reported yesterday by Adam Stern. He said that Bubba Wallace said Michael Jordan and 2311 racing investor Curtis Polk were ecstatic and pumped up after the team's first top 5 finish yesterday, and that Jordan sent him a very nice text, and now he expects a top 10 every week. So now we have to put our foot down and keep digging. Now, don't get me wrong. I think so far throughout this year, 2311 has shown the potential to be a top 10 organization. They should have a lot of top 10s here. I look back at Phoenix earlier this year where they should have potentially had a top 5 this weekend, but they had a really, really bad pit call that weekend and ended up finishing almost outside the top 20, only barely finishing inside the top 20. I look back at Bristol Dirt where they were contending for a top 10 and they had a cut down tire for Rodriguez Jr. And every other time we had a spin for a tire going down, they called the caution, including Mike Marlar late in the race, but they didn't call the caution for Bubba Wallace. I look back at the Coco 600 where they had a top 10 run going and they got a speeding penalty that took him out of contention of that. I look back at a lot of races here where this team has shown potential to be a top 10 organization, but they've never been able to close the races out. They got their first top 5 and top 10 this weekend, and I do think they can have the confidence right there. The issue is, I think that this is a little bit too much of pressure for a first-year team. You shouldn't 100%, in my opinion, be expecting a first-year team to be performing as well. The fact that this team has performed as well as they have is really, really great to see. Yes, they haven't been able to close out races, but they have shown a lot of speed. Both Trackhouse and 2311 have shown speed throughout the year, and I think they have the potential to be a top 10 team. Now, if they got their first top 5 in their second year, you should be expecting them to run top 10. But I think expecting this team to always run top 10 is a little bit too much, in my opinion. I think that's a lot of pressure on Bubba, and they can end up making a lot of mistakes on every side of things. They're gonna I think the goal that 2311 and Michael Jordan them should be shooting for, in my honest opinion, I think they should be shooting for top 15s. They've been finishing in the top 15 a lot more consistently. The first race, Pocono, they finished in the top 15. They ran pretty decent at some other races, and they were running well at National before they had issues early in the race. So I think the goal they should be going for, they should not be shooting for top 10s every single week. I think they should be, at least for right now, shooting for top 15s, build on that, and maybe in the future go to the top 10s. But I think that they will get better, don't get me wrong. But I think it is a little bit of pressure, too much pressure for Michael Jordan to be putting on Bubba Wallace. I don't think Michael Jordan 100% understands how NASCAR works. I think he's a little bit newer now when it comes to ownership. And I think he'll get better over time on that and work on the cars. I mean, he'll probably be able to learn a lot more because he is an NASCAR fan, don't get me wrong. But he's not as knowledgeable how things work. And for a first-year team, expecting to finish top 10 every single week, in my honest opinion, you're putting a lot of pressure on a first-year team. Trackhouse does not get this much pressure, and they go out and do their thing. I don't understand why Michael's putting as much pressure. I mean, I get it. You're Michael Jordan, and you're expecting your team to perform very, very well in Bubba Wallace perform because you said you guys were going to get wins this year, and you haven't done that yet. But you guys put a lot of pressure on yourself, and after getting first top 5, top 10, I think we just need to build on the process and try to perform a little bit better than we are and not just put as much pressure on ourselves. I think they're putting a little bit too much pressure on him, and hopefully maybe they'll get some more tops. Maybe this will be the kick in the ass for Bubba to perform a little bit better, but I think that they're putting a little bit too much pressure on Bubba Wallace, in my opinion. We'll have to see what happens, and maybe they'll perform a lot better. Maybe I'll be wrong. They'll finish top 10 every single week and almost point their way into the playoffs, but Got to shoot for top 15s right now instead of finishing in the top 10 and try to close out these races with some decent runs instead of trying to get top 10s every week and trying to exceed expectations because you're going to buy yourself in the ass if you push yourself way too much. And now we're going to go and jump on to the final major story of today's episode as we are talking about Junior Motorsports once again. We've talked about this multiple times on the channel in regards to the potential of Junior Motorsports jumping up the Cup next year in 2022. Now, very likely now that Junior Motorsports is not going to jump up the Cup next year in 2022. There was a segment that happened on the Ask Dale Jr. segment before he basically had to Dale Jr. down. They do this segment pretty much every single week. I think every single day, as a matter of fact. And someone had asked about the potential of Junior Motorsports jumping up the Cup. He basically said that College Racing paid $10 million for their charters, and Junior Motorsports won't be in the market if it's that expensive. Now, Junior did say that he would be willing to have 2 charters, but he said that right now with the expenses and how much it costs right now to jump up to the Cup Series right now, he does not want to spend $10 million. And I don't blame Dale Jr. for not wanting to jump up the Cup right now, to be perfectly honest with you. If it's going to cost $10 million to jump up and get a charter, I don't want to spend that much money. He's saying that there are rumors that some teams spend $5 to $6 million, but they're saying that some of these teams are expecting to spend $10 million to jump up. And I don't know if Junior can afford it. I just think Junior can afford it. I just don't think Junior wants to spend $10 million because he's not sure if it's going to pan out or not. And there's potential to charter agreement may end after 2024. And, Junior may not want to spend, like I said, Junior may not want to spend $10 million. He may not be able to afford $10 million. It may not be a timely investment to spend money on a charter. I think Dale Jr.'s team does want to jump the Cup next year. They're really, really wanting to be valuable and go to the next gen car. But the only thing holding it back, similar to what Kyle Busch showed, if they were to jump the Cup, and that's what's holding back. Kyle Busch said that maybe if there was enough money for him to spend, and if a charter was available, he would definitely jump up the Cup, but charters are not available. When College Racing spent 2 charters, my thoughts of them going to Cup basically went blank. I basically said that there's really in my opinion, I just don't think that now with College Racing spending and getting 2 charters next year, I don't think it's going to happen. The only way I think Junior Motorsports maybe could jump up the Cup next year, in my honest opinion, if they are to do what we've been hearing what the Dollar Bumper Clear Pod said about RPM maybe working with Rich Payne Motorsports Jr. working with them, but I really don't see that happening, to be honest with you, getting the 51 charter, but I don't expect it happening. I don't think Dale Jr. is going to want to have the Petty name on his thing. I think he wants to have his own branding and not the Petty brand on his name. I think he wants to settle his own thing. Again, when do I personally think that Junior Motorsports could jump up the Cup? I think the earliest is when more charters are going to become available. I think the earliest I see them jumping up the Cup potentially is around 2023 to 2024. I really think that's really the earliest I really think that Junior Motorsports is going to jump up the Cup next year. I really think that's the only chance they can. I think the only team that's really going to buy a charter maybe next year is Trackhouse. I think 2311 is going to run a second car with or without a charter. I really think one of the only teams that's going to be able to buy a charter is Trackhouse, in my opinion. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens, but I think at this point, the only way Junior Motorsports is overall going to jump up the Cup next year is if they are to get a charter next year. But that is just my honest opinion on that. So, anyway, that is the end of today's NASCAR news video. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Support page as well. Link description below for that and comment your thoughts on today's video. Do you think Junior Motorsports is going to jump up the Cup next year, or do you think it's off table now with the charter situation? Let me know in the comments below. And do you think that Michael Jordan is putting too much pressure on Bubba Wallace? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. See you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.